Hey, thank you so much for checking out this video. I'm gonna walk through the prototype of this app, WZUP, in this video to show you what the user would actually experience when they use the app and to just give you a better idea than just showing you photos. What I'm gonna do here is I'll first start off by showing you a very brief, quick flow of every screen of the app and just walk through it without any commentary. And then after that, I'll actually go into the commentary and go through each screen, telling you about my thoughts behind it and about the user's perspective and give you more details. here we go. So this is the launch screen. This is the screen that users would see when they open the app and when it's loading. As soon as the app finished loading, they would see the screen here with the option to log in and sign up. We're gonna go ahead and sign up for this video. And then they're moved to this new screen where users can choose how exactly they want to sign up with which service. For this video, I'm gonna go ahead and do so via email. And then we have a screen where users can enter their personal information, such as their first name. And we know how this works, so I'm not gonna go into too much detail here. The users just enter their information. Then when they're done with everything, they click on next. And the next thing is that the app asks for the user's location, because one of the most important things about this app is that users can will be shown events that are close to them or in areas where they spend a lot of time. So this is what this asks. I'm going to go ahead and actually skip this step because it works in a very basic manner. That actually is going to also pop up later in the app as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click on next here on the bottom. And then it's congratulating me, my account has been created. Next, we will ask you some questions about yourself so we can show you the best possible events near you at all times. Now here it was important to keep the user in the process and not tune out, right? Because this is more of a lengthy sign-up process, which is also why I chose to title it as well as I could by, for example, titling this button as Curation Quiz rather than just Next, for example. So we're going to click here on this Curation Quiz button, which is going to take us to the first part of the Curation Quiz, which is indicated by this title here in the header in the top bar, where it gives us the indication that we're in the events section of the Curation Quiz in part 1 of 2. And here we have several cards that reflect the different categories of events that this app features. And the important thing to note here is that, or the reason why I chose to go with cards, there are a couple of reasons. Number one is to organize the screen, this section, a little bit more rather than just giving users a whole bunch of event categories that are not organized by event type, and thus allow the user to feel a little bit more like they're in a safer and cleaner environment that they can navigate through in a much easier way. And also another reason was to showcase the event colors, which are going to be a theme throughout the app. Each of the 4 event categories has their own color. This actually works in a very basic manner. The user can just go ahead and select any category that they that they would like to attend, that they would like to see in their feeds, in their feed. And once they select it, it's saved. And this is actually what it looks like. If I click on vegetarian here, vegetarian is now highlighted, and it's also indicating that I have 1 event subcategory selected, which I think was important because, I want to give the users as much feedback as possible so that way they know, well, how did my actions impact the app, essentially, which is important for various reasons, but most importantly, just to make the user feel comfortable and feel like they're in control. And then there's also the possibility here to select the entire event category in case someone wants to do this, as well as if we look down here into the art card, which is where I included this feature to highlight, to show here. If users click on the See More button, they get more categories. I only have 5 here. In a real app, there would be probably many more, depending on their database. And here, these weren't just random picks. The actual idea behind this was to give users the ability to, the default cards before users click on See More should only show more broad and general subcategories, so that a user could have it much easier to actually decide which subcategories they want to select. So, for example, what I mean by this, to give an example, is if we look at museums here, if museums was up top, what would possibly happen is that users might think, and this would actually apply to me too. I like museums if it's, for example, specific kinds of museums. So a technology museum or a history museum, I would totally love that. But I wouldn't be as interested in an art museum, for example, which is why this is more in the see more section for users who want to take a little bit more time in choosing which events they care about and which they don't. So the goal here again is in the default cards, users should be shown categories that are more easy to decide on in a black and white fashion. Okay, now let's say we have selected several events. We're going to move on to the next screen by clicking next here on the bottom. Then users are asked about their vibe. Ambience was an important feature of this app by which to filter events, and this is why I'm asking users here about their personality, and they can just answer based on how they feel about certain questions or certain situations. Let's say here, the more crowded an event, the better. I would go ahead and click right here, and there's an indication that I clicked and that it went through. And the same thing would apply to all questions on this list, which again impact the algorithm and the events that are curated for users on one of the very next screens here. Here I'm asking users if they want to turn on notifications, which is just the goal. The goal here simply is just to get users to come back to the app more often and to also make the experience overall better for them. All right, and now we're going to go ahead and start the app. All right, and this is the home screen, or as I called it, the For You page, because this is what it is. It's a page specifically created for the user with events that are chosen and curated for the user based on their input, as well as based on their usage of the app. So I'm going to go through the screen from top to bottom. And on the very top, we see the title, For You. We have a list icon, which I'll go into in a second. We have several filters that the user can swipe through and access at any time. It doesn't matter if they're in the map view or list view. And they can click on these and filter their events by certain options, which I'll go into in just a second. Then we have a map, which users can move around and zoom in on, zoom out, and the events are going to update accordingly. And they also see themselves as well as the various events that are near them, indicated again with the specific event colors, as I talked about before. Okay, then on the bottom, there is a very small list view pop-up that users can access by swiping up, but I'm actually going to go into what this swiped up view looks like, the list view, by clicking on this button here at the top, which indicates switching to the list view. So users can switch to the list view and or map, switch between list view and map view actually at any point in the app. It doesn't matter when, just because there are different people, different purposes, different situations in which different things are required and are more convenient. And then users have access to this list view here. And what I'm going to do next, I'll go back to the map view, and then we're going to actually try and see what happens when we click on an event that we see on the map. So let's choose this garden party here, since it's close to my location. Garden party moves into the center of the screen, and I now have a small excerpt of the event listing with the most important information. The goal here was to give the user just enough information to be able to judge whether they want to know more or whether they want to just save it or whether they want to move on and they're not interested. So this was my goal here. Users can see the event details, read the description, and also look at the event photos. And then click on the event details page as well as save the event here too. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and close this pop-up. Puts us back to the map. And what we're gonna do next, I'll just quickly switch to the list view again to highlight how the filters work. And we're gonna go ahead and click on the location filter. By default, the current location is selected because most of the time that's most likely to be the thing that users want. And if we click on this, we see a new pop-up comes up. asking us where we want to attend events. And here we have several options, such as current location or a custom location, very simple binary decision. And then below that, also the distance from that location that we are willing to travel. If we click on custom, we can click on select location, and then let's say we enter San Jose. Now notice also that on the bottom of the screen, the button doesn't just say next or save or apply. It actually gives the user an indication of how many events match with their filtering options, which I think is very important to, again, give users feedback and show them like how their interaction with the app impacts their filtering options, essentially. So there's no surprises. Now let's say we click on this show for events, and then we have the 4 events that this filter filtered. Now the filters we selected show up in a different color, which is to indicate that they have been changed. We can still swipe through here and even reset them all, but for now this is what we have. Anytime there's any filter changed, the filters button also changes to indicate there's a filter active, even if, let's say, the filter is all the way here at the end, it's event type or ambience, and we don't see it right away. All right, now users have this event list of events that now are both curated for them based on their interests, and on top of that, they're also filtered based on their specific filtering options. So there's a lot of possibility for users in this app to sort events, to filter events, to any degree, really, which I think is really important in this day and age, because it just seems to me there's a trend that users want to be more and more and more in control of everything, of their privacy, of what they can do in an app, how they can customize an app or software or a website. And this was one of the goals here. Okay, now I want to go into some more details about what the filtering options exactly look like. So let's say I am a more experienced user and I want to change various filters all at one time. And I'm like, I know exactly what I want. I just need to scroll through a list and find several filters all at once. What I can do is I can go up here to the top where it says filters and click on this button, and a window would pop up where users have access to all filters, not just one at a time as it previously was. And they can then scroll through this list, which I'm going to show you here. We have when, where, price, ambience, and event type. Very simple, one list. Now, one of the cool features here that I felt was very important when I tested it is that wherever the users scroll, they always have access at the top here to the overall filters, which to me is very important because it gives users the possibility to keep track of what they've changed, which filters they have applied, no matter where they scroll. All right, I'm gonna go back up here, and then we're gonna click on custom just to show what happens when we do so. And then we have the option here to enter from when to when do we want to attend or look for events. And then for where, the custom feature looks like this. We've already seen this. We can also enter a custom distance from the specified location that we want to search. We can enter a custom price. And here down here, nothing really changed with these filters. But the idea is, let's include the possibility of users being able to filter like crazy, to filter in all kinds of ways, but don't do it in a way where they have to and they're going to get overwhelmed. This is more for users who feel comfortable with this, who want specifically to filter in various details, and who, for whom it works. Great. Then I'm going to just click here again, custom, and this is what it would look like when, hypothetically, every filter category had a filter applied to it. The top here would change. We would have all of them showing up in a highlighted color with the content being the chosen filters. And we would also see our changes here in this list, right? Now I do want to mention very quickly that at the top right here, users can cancel the process at any time, which would just, they would essentially cancel all their changes and go back to where they were before. And if they don't want to do that, but they still want to reset all their filters, they can just click on the reset all button down here on the bottom. I chose to separate them, so I have cancel on the top and reset on the bottom, because I felt like if there was two buttons at the top, it might confuse users at first. And here they know, get rid of everything on the top and just reset the filters, or rather go away from the filtering view in total, in general, on the top, and just reset the filters here on the bottom. And then once users are ready to apply their filters and see the results, they can just click on this button again, show XYZ number of events. Okay, now I'm gonna cancel this because I wanna go back to the list view. And here, I just wanna quickly show you what it looks like when users actually sort an event. So what they would get is the option to sort by relevance, distance, and start time. Relevance, of course, is based on their input, as well as the algorithm of the company. Distance is clear, and start time is also clear. Right now, I do want to show you what the click or the tap animation looks like. So when a user clicks on an event, the thing they click on, the event, would very briefly, for just a short millisecond, highlight in this light gray before they would be redirected to the event listing, which I'll actually show you next, or after this section. Now I want to show you very quickly what users, the possibilities they have for saving events. Now they could either click on the heart icon at the top right of an event listing, or they could also swipe an event listing. And I don't have the swipe option here, but I'm going to show you the two stages. So if I was going to love the second event here, this will be the first stage of the animation. And then here we'd have the complete stage of the animation. And with a notification on the top of the screen, event saved, we will keep you notified about this event, which I also found very important, because like if it just said event saved, it's like, okay, well, where, how, what happens? Now the user knows what's going to happen with it. And the event is saved. Okay, so this is all I wanted to show you for the For You screen, for the home screen. Now we're going to go on to our next section, which is the Explore page, which I'm very happy with as well. The Explore page, the main idea of the Explore page is to show users all kinds of different events, event categories, to give them the ability to search, to just customize and leave their comfort zone, essentially, leave their curated events and explore new things. This is accomplished first by showing users various events that they can swipe through that are happening close by, far away, just pretty much anything that the algorithm or the app automatically assembles. Users can also scroll through here. There's, of course, the possibility to allow users to explore based on subcategories, which we have here, popular in music, and then hot events this summer, where users can also scroll through. We're familiar with these events from before. And yeah, so this is how the Explore page works. Notice that at the top here, users also have the option to still filter, by when an event takes place and by where, which is important because I think it's kind of unique as well as very helpful for users to be able to customize even in an Explore page. But of course, they also don't have to do that. And now we're gonna go on to, I'm gonna go on and show you what it looks like. If we look at the map view of this screen, it's essentially the same concept as with the For You page. And users can move around here and they see the events that are close by in the Explore section. Now I'm gonna look at the search function. So a lot of times users might wanna use the app to search for something very specific, right? Whatever it might be. It could literally be anything. And that's one of the things we really wanted with this, that I really wanted with this app, is that the search function needs to be as intuitive as possible so that users can search for anything, a mood, an ambience, a tag, a location, whatever they want. So here we have the most recent searches, and we have several ways for users to enter information. Either they type it in, or they select one of these event categories here, or they choose a recent search. If I choose to start typing, then I get event suggestions such as fun events or funny. And if I finish typing, or if I select something from the top and move on to the location search, I have the opportunity to just use my current location, which is a simple click of a button and users get it, or I can enter something else. For this scenario, I am just going to use my current location and then click on next. And then in the search bar at the top, I have fun events in San Jose. So my search query combined with the location in which I wanted to search, as well as the filters that we're used to from the previous pages. Right. Here we have our 4 events again that we all know pretty well by now. And then there's just one more thing that I want to show you, which is the map view of this screen. And here I actually also illustrated, I wanted to show you what it looks like when we move out of the specific location on a map. There's a button appears here, search in this area, which we know from Apple Maps, Google Maps, various map applications. Just a useful feature for users. Right, next we're going to go off to the next section of the app, the next page, which is My Events. Here on the bottom. Great. So My Events, I think we're starting to see a pattern here. We always have the title at the top. We have the opportunity to change the view from map view to list view, and we also have the possibility to filter, right? And here on this My Events page, we have 4 subcategories, which I chose to arrange in a way where users can either swipe through them sideways, horizontally, or they can just click on the different categories at the top of the screen, at the top bar. The space that I wanted to create here for users is one in which they know everything that I've ever interacted with in terms of events is here on this page. So whether I'm going to it, I saved it, I looked at it in the past, or I attended it in the past, it's all here in this My Events page. So the going screen looks like very similar to the event list that we're already familiar with the slight change that there's a directions button in order to make it easier for users to, perhaps when they're planning or when they're on the go, to just quickly get directions and to not have to search for them by scrolling through the event listing, but just directions which would direct them to different apps, which we can see here. If we click on directions, it asks, well, which application do you want to use? Apple Maps, Google Maps, and I also chose to integrate Uber and Lyft here. We can technically add others, but I felt it important to include these as well because a lot of times that's how users get to places. And that's that. So we're going to go ahead and cancel this and simultaneously show you the map view of My Events and what this looks like. Next, we're going to head off to the saved section, which would essentially just swipe over. You can swipe it or click on it in the top bar. And here it's very simple. There's just one addition from the regular list view, which is right here, the place in which it essentially indicates when it was saved. So 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, right? In past, what we have access to is the events that we actually attended in the past. And I chose to simplify the design here a little bit because many of the details weren't going to be important anymore, such as the location or the distance from it or the price. Like, to me, it seemed all that was important is what did I attend, where was it, and when was it? So that's what I did here. And we can also see very much in an Instagram style design, I simply added 4W to indicate this was 4 weeks ago, or 15 weeks, or 23 weeks. Now, heading on to the last section of this page, we're going to look at recently viewed, which I find very important because a lot of times people browse through so many things online, whether it's a shopping website or a travel website, and a lot of times you just want to know, well, what was that thing I looked at yesterday, and that would all be saved here. So it would show us the events, and when we looked at them. And we can quickly, easily access them from here as well. Okay, now that we've taken a look at the My Events page, I want to show you perhaps the most exciting part of the app, which is the actual event listing. Here we're going to look at the garden party. The main goal was to make it easy to find exactly what users want, to design it in a way that looks good, and to give users all the functionality and possibilities that they would need. So I'm just going to actually show you this and add comments where I think necessary. Okay, here, for example, users can also see specific details about a location, like how do I enter it or anything else I would need to know. If I keep scrolling, I have some about information with more photos. And then I have the location, which we're also familiar with. If I click here, I actually would be redirected to a full screen map. And then it gives me the address, which actually I realize still says San Francisco, but that's not a big deal. And then here we have the neighborhood downtown. One of the details, one of the things that the project requirements stated is that users should also be able to filter by neighborhood, which they can do in the when filter, and it shows here in the where filter. Anyways, getting back to this event listing, here users can get directions, which we already know what that looks like, and they can also copy the address, which I found to be a very important design, because I know I sometimes just want to get the address and paste it into my favorite app, Maps app, or send it to a friend or something like that. So that's very important. All right, and then we have a community feature, which is great to build a community, which is of course a great part of this project, very important part of it. Right. Partially to build trust and partially to get people more excited about the event. And of course, get their questions answered and just bond with other people. And then this next section is called Info, which has some more important information that needed to be somewhere. So I added it all together: website, event type, the ambience that is associated with it, as well as tags. All of this information, if you read through the event details on this website, all of this information would be added by the tastemakers when they actually create and upload an event. They would be the ones adding this information in. And tastemakers, just to quickly recap, are everyday users, people like you and I, who have certain connections to certain communities of underground events, and know a lot of events that are going to be taking place in a certain area, and can choose to apply to become tastemakers on this app and then upload their own events, which was not part of my project, my requirements for this case study. But I might do it at a later time. But this is how it works, and these tastemakers add the information that we see here. And then we also have several share buttons, which is important to build the app, to get the app out there to more people, to friends of friends of friends around the world, as well as copying the link to this event, which is another thing very important. And then the final aspect or final part of this event listing is events you might like, which is just intended to show users more things and broaden their horizon, or just keep them browsing, keep them in the app, saving more events, and hopefully then also attending more events that they can also swipe through. Great. So now that we've looked at this, let's scroll up again. And so now when we actually go ahead and want to read more about this event, we just click on more. I'm going to go into the top thing in just a second. And then you have the entire description here. And I also wanted to show you, and I combined this as well, what happens when we actually add the tastemaker who uploaded this event, Marcus Brown. If we click here on follow, this button changes to unfollow, and we have a notification in the same style we had previously, where it's like it says new follow, you started following Marcus Brown, right? Again, feedback, very important. And next, let's actually go ahead and attend this event. All right, we're notified. You're going. The event has been added to my events. So now the user knows where can I find this event? It's in my events. And the button changes to share event, which is, in my opinion, again, important, also based on the project requirements, because the key really is to get this app out there to many people and to share it as much as possible. And then it says you're going and cancel RSVP, which we're going to actually try and see what happens. Yes, it asks us, do you really want to cancel or do you want to keep the RSVP? Now notice this button down here, the cancel button at the very bottom of the screen, in every other instance that it's used in the app actually says cancel, which could be confusing if it says cancel or cancel RSVP. So that's why I chose to change it here to say keep RSVP, very clear. So we're going to keep the RSVP. What happens when we click on the 3 dots here at the top of the screen is we can then specify what we want to do. Share the event, copy the event link, stop seeing events like this to, essentially curate it, to change the events we're shown through the curation in case we ever need to for whatever reason. And then report the event, of course, in case there's something that shouldn't be there. All right, now the next thing we're going to do is look at the profile. The space that I was trying to create here with this profile page is just a place in the app in which users know everything that has nothing to do with events directly is here, right? Settings, notifications, everything that has nothing directly to do with events is here. And so the first thing we see is my name, a photo of the user, how many events I attended, which is also interesting to sort of keep count for users and to motivate them to attend more. Their primary location, and then notifications. Here users can see all the notifications that they would be getting through their phone. They're also stored here, along with when users were notified about them. We have the option here to clear all the filters, which asks us, do you really want to do this? It can't be undone. And then yes, clear all notifications or cancel. We're going to go ahead and cancel. And then look at the next section, which is following. Now, following refers to tastemakers, which tastemakers does the user follow. We have 3 here with the option to either click on a tastemaker's profile, which we'll look at in a second, as well as to unfollow them and to search for new tastemakers, which I just quickly want to show you what this looks like. Very simple. We can just enter a name and we're shown tastemakers. So imagine, for example, you have a friend who said, I know this person, they just applied to be a tastemaker. You should follow them. They have some great events they upload, and I can search for them here and follow them. So we're going to head back and now look at the last section, which is settings. Sorry about that. And see all the settings that we can change here. And I just chose the ones that seem most appropriate for this prototype, such as changing the primary city, automatically copying events that the users attend to their calendar, which is also actually a project requirement. And then the default view, right? Generally how it works is that the app remembers the default view or the view that was set when users when users left the app. Here, however, the user can change it from automatic or reset after every usage to the view that they want to have by default every time that they open the app. Edit interests, which we get back to the screen of the events that we can change, adapt, and then go back. And then edit personal information, date and time format, notifications, support privacy, terms of service, and log out. So all the things that you might need in a settings page. And finally, to conclude this review, we're going to take a look at a tastemaker profile. Here we have Mary, who is a tastemaker. She's created 25 events and she is based in San Francisco. There's some information about her personally, her social media profiles, which is again very important to build that community and to get the event out there, to get the app out there, and to get users to share it on their social media and get more people to come to the app. The upcoming events that this tastemaker has added, as well as past events as well. All right, so this is the tastemaker profile, and this concludes the prototype review. Thank you so much for sticking with me and for taking a look at this app. And feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about this, about me. If you want to work together, contact me, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you.